So, it's not Salt Lake City. We are advancing. We're here in San Jose.
Thank
at
the Lord.
SAP Center. It's great. It's fantastic. Daily Wildcat here, Saul Bookman, editor, Justin Spears. So we're sitting here in San Jose, getting ready for the Sweet 16. We all want to talk about Arizona and the matchup with Xavier and Sean Miller playing his old team. But we had a game before this. So before we get into the Wildcats and into the nitty-gritty, we first got to talk about West Virginia taking on Gonzaga. You have a 1 seed and a 4 seed going against each other. And, I mean, you have Karnowski, the big guy in the middle, Nigel Williams-Goss and their guards, and then also West Virginia. Well, I just saw a fan just a minute ago who had a shirt that says Press Virginia. So these guys live and die by the full court press. So, I mean, Gonzaga and West Virginia, it should be up for a fun one. What do you think about today?
It should be a great matchup. It's two distinct different styles. West Virginia likes to cause a lot of turnovers, likes to get you out of your game. For instance, last game against Notre Dame, Notre Dame came into that game averaging 9 points or 9 turnovers a game. That's it. In the first half, they had 9 turnovers. So they will put you out of your game. They will make you feel uncomfortable. So you got to feel uncomfortable, or you got to feel comfortable being uncomfortable. So that's why I kind of feel like whoever wins this game, which I kind of lean one way for sure. I think either way, Arizona will be okay if they should get back past Xavier.
So we all know Gonzaga. We know familiar faces. We know Karnowski, Williams-Goss, like I said, Josh Perkins. There's a lot of players that Arizona fans are familiar with, considering they played it back in December. But West Virginia's got some players, and you sat there and looked at their players and what they did in the tournament. What is one Mountaineer that Wildcat fans should be worried about if Arizona were to play West Virginia?
You know what? There is not just one player with them. It is a team effort. They go 8, 9, 10 deep. They run you guys. They'll have 4 or 5 guards come in the first 5 or 6 minutes because they're constantly pressing. It really reminds me a lot of the old school days when you would have like Arkansas and their 40 minutes of hell defense.
Yeah.
They would come in and they would just press you and make you feel uncomfortable. And Arizona had trouble with them, obviously, in the Final Four in '94. West Virginia is almost a carbon copy of that, with the exception of they don't really have a premier player. They have 1 or 2 guys that can score, but it's really a whole team effort. Each guy averaging between 10 and 12 points a game. They're a solid deep team.
So, I mean, last year had a lot of stars in the NCAA tournament. This year has a lot of stars in the NCAA tournament. I look at West Virginia, and the first thing that comes to my mind is the last year's Villanova team. Can you name a single Villanova player from last year, other than the guy who hit the game-winning shot?
Brunson?
Okay, well, Saul's a whiz when it comes to rosters. What I'm saying is, there are a lot of, I wouldn't say average players, but team players. And I totally agree with you, Saul. I think West Virginia, they're going to come out, and you're really going to start to see kind of the system start to work itself. And by the way, Power 5 conference, West Virginia, they were in the Big 12. They're used to playing guys like teams like Kansas, Baylor. Gonzaga, they got their first test of a Power 5 conference team last week against Northwestern, and look what happened. They almost blew a 20-point lead. Northwestern cut that lead to 5. It wasn't for a bad call. Who knows what that game would turn out to be. So I'm telling you now, folks, you're really going to start to see Gonzaga get exposed today. I like West Virginia. Saul, Mountaineers and Bulldogs.
I like West Virginia. I like what they do. I think they're a tough matchup for anybody. I like Gonzaga as well. But at the end of the day, you got to go over here and get that W. I mean, it's going to be West Virginia. I don't care how many times Gonzaga thinks they're ready. The results of playing in the West Coast Conference for 18 to 20 games in a row without playing any solid out-of-conference competition is finally going to rear its ugly head today, when this is a significant step up. You're going from Northwestern, a team that was barely even in the top 25.
They're scraping.
To a team that legitimately could win the national title.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I would say Mountaineers all day.
Okay, so, well, that sums it up for us. Saul, both and I, we have the Mountaineers. Saul, you thought I was done.
I thought you were done,
You
man.
thought I was done before we talk about the Arizona
Don't wrap
Wildcats.
it up yet, man.
So, Arizona taking on Xavier.
Give the people what they want.
We are going to give you what you want. And I hope you're tuning in. Everybody's live right now. Arizona Xavier. Sean Miller's taking on his old team. I mean, and every single time that these two teams play each other, everybody's going to sit here and talk about Sean Miller's experience. But that's just because Sean Miller has taken Xavier to 3 out of their 4 Sweet 16s. I'm just saying, I think at this point, with Sean Miller's success at Arizona and everything that he's done, we're going to have to put the Xavier ties behind.
Yeah.
I talked about this on Alec White's radio show In the Zone. Check it out every week, every Tuesday, or every Wednesday, excuse me. But I said, since Sean Miller has taken Arizona to the Elite Eight a few times, he's taken Arizona potentially to a Final Four this year if they handle their business now. You don't sit here and talk about John Calipari's days at Providence. University of Massachusetts.
Hey,
Memphis. Or I was thinking about Rick Pitino. He was over there at Providence. You don't sit there and talk about his days at Kentucky, even though he had success there. Now we talk about Rick Pitino as the Louisville coach. I'm getting tired of these Xavier ties. Sure. Sean Miller's moved on. He's his own man. He's developed his own brand, but also succeeding Lou Olson. Saul. I'm calling Sean Miller now. Seeing things. So just kind of talk about Xavier, where they're at, how they came up to this point.
Well, Xavier had a tough season. In February, lost a lot of games to the point where they pretty much put everything inside a little jar, or actually, what is it, a trash can inside the locker room, set it on fire, put those ashes into a jar and said, hey, that's where it's going to stay. And that's what they did. And they carry that jar around with them everywhere they go. So they left that behind, and since then, they haven't lost.
Yeah.
They've won, I think it was like 8 or 9 games straight. They didn't win the biggest championship, so they did lose one game. But they're a solid team from top to bottom. They are, if you want to think about Xavier, think about Butler. Okay? Fundamentally sound. They can out-rebound you if you let them. Not the tallest of guys, not the most physical, or not the most athletic, but they are physical. And if you let them get control of the game, they'll take it. So you got to make sure you keep the foot on the gas. Make sure you really come to work and get ready to play, because there are no off days now. You got to come every single game. You got to come ready. And I expect Arizona is going to do that. A lot of people are trying to make the comparison back to 2015. There is no comparison. Xavier doesn't have that one guy in the middle that's going to cause problems, much like Gonzaga does with Karnowski. They don't have that. They have a team, and then Blewett kind of keeps them all together, and J.P. Markham is kind of a nuisance for them as well. Okay, that's fine. Those are 2 guys. And then they had to have a phenomenal effort against Florida State to win that game by 36 points, 11 of 17 from three-point range. Arizona is one of the best in the country at defending the three. So I just don't see it in the cards for Xavier. I could be wrong, but I expect an Arizona victory quite handily.
Who steps up for Arizona? Because last week, Lowry Markkinen only focused on defense and shutting down Jock Landale. His defensive efforts helped him out. Alonzo Tree in the second half was big, but you know this. Basketball is a game of 40 minutes. Who puts together a full 40 minutes of basketball to give Arizona a win?
I'm going to say Dusan Ristic. I think Dusan's going to come out and play a solid game from beginning to end. I think he'll play a little bit more than he normally has this season, because I think he's starting to kind of get the rhythm of how the NCAA tournament is. Get those little kinks worked out that I saw last week. Sean Miller rode him several times, and so did Kadeem Allen. Not happy with his performance on the defensive end. In the second half against St. Mary's, it came together. He started playing more fundamentally sound, played solid defense, and then the offense came in as well. He didn't score he damn near didn't score in the first half. He scored 12 points in the second half. Fantastic game by him in the second half. I expect that to continue forward, and don't be surprised if Lowry Markkinen doesn't go crazy off tonight.
Okay. In the pocket. That is in the pocket right there. In the pocket. So Saul and I both have Arizona winning big. Again, we still have a game before us. We have Gonzaga, Mountaineers. Then following up after that, we have the Arizona Wildcats taking on the Xavier Musketeers. You can follow us on Twitter at Wildcat Hoops and at Wildcat Sports for live coverage.